We are parked and camping, actually campground hosting here at Heth State Park in Michigan. And I've noticed an issue with our steps on the Airstream. And it's probably something that you might be having an issue with as well. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So you can see right here on our steps. And of course the whole mechanism that holds it all together. And this is, I can get to where you can see it, this screw right here. This is how this should look, where this comes out and you see the threads. But on this side over here, if you look close, you see that that screw is actually recessed back into there. And that is not how that should be. That tells me that that bolt is starting to back out a little bit. So we've got to tighten that bolt. And I'll put some Loctite on it as well to kind of hold all that together. But there's a problem, and let me show you what that problem is. The problem is you can't get there. Look, this is all sealed. This line in the dust right here that I drew, that is in line with the head on that bolt. So somehow we've got to either remove some of this paneling, or we'll need to cut an access hole so we can get to that bolt head. So I think my best course of action is going to be to cut that access hole. There's quite a few rivets that I'm going to have to drill out to try to take that panel off and get into there. So I'm thinking that's going to be a much bigger job than simply creating an access hole and then sealing it up later. Let's see what tools or things we can come up with to cut this access hole with what I have on hand. So the first thing I'm going to do, I have some of this stainless steel shim stock that I'm going to use as a patch for the hole. So I have it marked right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this patch stock over and then draw around and know that I have to be smaller than that when I cut my access hole. So there's lines I've drawn, and initially I was going to run the patch this way, but I think I'm going to do it this way now. So I'm going to cut out this section right here. And again, this mark I put in the dust is almost exactly where I need to be. And I think that'll give me just enough room to get my hex head wrench in there, or Allen wrench, to get this tightened up. Let's start with a 1/8 inch bit. Drill out this rivet here. So I had to cut this much bigger than I initially planned. Well, not much, but a little bit. So I'm going to have to get some aluminum patch stock, which is probably the better way to go. But you can see inside that bolt is definitely backing out. And you can see that there's a hex head. I believe it's 5.5 millimeter. So we're about to get a wrench in there and try to tighten this up. But now I can get in there and actually tighten this bolt up. I've got enough room to maneuver the hex head wrench now to actually tighten up this hex. And then tighten it up. And that's the problem, is that it's always right there. Pull it out. But I do think we're at a point where I can actually get some Loctite and put on there, and I'm pretty confident that I'll be able to continue to tighten this up. So let's go do that. I don't know if you can see the difference, but now that's set all the way back in. I've got that fully tightened up, and there's no thread showing on the inside. And the step feels totally, totally different. And looking in from the front, now that we have it done, you should be able to see that that bolt right there, the threads are sticking out. And hopefully enough of that Loctite got on there to hold that. So all in all, not too bad of a job to get this done. I'm gonna have to get a little piece of aluminum patch that I can rivet back onto there. I think I'll seal it up around the edges with some VHB tape. That'll help to make sure it's watertight, even though that really was not a watertight area. Well, continuing on, I am running to either Ace Hardware or Tractor Supply. Michelle reminded me that the park is full of chipmunks, and those destructive little creatures will find the way in, and they'll find the way into the Airstream, so we can't have that. So onward to hardware store to get a piece of aluminum so that we can secure this up. Patch was cut to size and spray painted black, and I've just got it all riveted on. Let me show you what it looks like. So all in all, not too bad of a repair. If you're not confident or comfortable cutting into parts of your Airstream, maybe you should have this one done by someone else, a service center, but it is well within anyone's do-it-yourself capabilities. Our steps are very secure, work very much different. They don't have this weird side-to-side rattle anymore. So a tip for Airstream owners with the standard type steps, take a look at them, see if that one thread is backed out. If you're not comfortable doing this type of DIY stuff yourself, enlist someone to help or take it to a shop. So I should have just enough room to get the hex head wrench in there. You know what? I'm looking at myself, and this is not the most flattering angle ever. Need a bigger hole to get this in there.